Hello, everyone, and welcome to which is already a fourth SGL Live. It's good that you can all join us. It's good to see a consistent high number of people joining us. That means you're probably liking what we are doing and find the topics that we discuss interesting. I hope today that we have another interesting session. I think we will with the topic that we have and the guests that we have. Let me introduce to you, first of all, Mr. Ollie Meckin from...
How are you? Okay?
Hello, Ollie, are you all right?
Yeah, good.
Ollie from OHL Leuven, Belgium. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Excellent. And then second, Denny Huffman. Denny, how are you? Welcome.
I'm very well, Frank. Thank you. Hello.
Live from the AJ Bell Stadium in the background. Lovely. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And then back as a couple from the first ever SGL Live, back by multiple requests, Simon and Tom. Simon, how are you? Simon is muted. That's not good. Can you unmute, Simon? Simon, you need to unmute. It's better if we...
I've unmuted.
Good, excellent. Simon, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Frank. Yeah, thanks for the invite to come back eventually.
Well, we had to point a knife at you to come back, but we managed in the end. So that's good. Also live from the AJ Bell Stadium.
I am socially distanced from Danny, who's over the other side.
Okay, good. As long as the social distance remains. And then last but not least, Tom, welcome. Great to have you back.
Afternoon and morning to everyone else.
You okay?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good, excellent. All right, today let me walk you to the agenda. We are going to obviously start off with a social media update again, go around the world, what's happening across the pitches. And then we start with today's theme, today's topic, which is economical pitch management. Both Ollie and Danny have a vast experience on working with limited resources and getting the most out of it. And we will touch on that subject today with their expertise. And Tom will start by doing a presentation on that. Then we will follow with a this or that by Danny. And then we will go into the discussion with our experts, Danny and Ollie, on economical pitch management. Then it's Ollie's turn for a this or that, after which we will finalize the discussion on economical pitch management. And then after that, both Danny and Simon will give us a live view across the pitch of the AJ Bell Stadium. So I'm very much looking forward to that, and I hope you will all enjoy today's session. So let's start with the social media round. Here we go. What happened across the industry on social media? We see here Mark Ryan, who works as an assistant to Danny at the AJ Bell Stadium, ready for training in the morning. So it's good to see activity getting back into stadiums. We see that everywhere. So that's a very nice thing to see. Then this is also a very active image we've seen across social media, across our customers with the heat wave going through Europe over the last few weeks. We really see the benefits of the TC50 stadiums. Many of our customers from Spain to Belgium to London have been using the TC50s to lower the temperatures. I believe at Spurs they reached 41 degrees inside the stadium on the pitch. So the TC50s are of great help over there. And then this is an amazing one from the other side of the world, Sydney Cricket Ground. Obviously, it's their middle of the winter, so they've got completely different conditions, although Sydney has a relatively nice winter, but still they need additional light to help grow their grass. And that's an amazing picture you get from that. Then this is a very nice one. Lee, 118 hours and 15 minutes. I think Lee Jackson has been on every social media round we've had so far on the SGL live sessions. And he's obviously been timing his germination, his seeding. So that's excellent. Let's see who can beat Lee by maybe 117 hours and 34 minutes. We'll see. And then Ollie, great to see you also active on social media and sharing your experience. Ollie's been renting 2 TC50s recently on a short-term rent and has also been experiencing the benefits in the hot weather he's had over the last few weeks. So that's great to see. This is another one. We talked about the BU10 before, and we're going to discuss it today even more, obviously, because it falls within our basic line. So it's very good to see this BU10 going around. Tom's been traveling. It's good as well to see that both Tom and Simon are able to travel around again and do some visits. At least we think it's good. Our customers might think differently, but Danny, you can maybe judge on that later. So, but it's good to see this BU10 going around, and yeah, everyone's quite excited about it. And then happy belated birthday to Jim. Jim, his 40th, and his mom made him this very nice cake. So if it's your birthday soon and you're in the industry, give Jim a call. He might be able to get you a nice cake. All right, that was the round of social media. Then I would now like to invite Tom to give us a bit more insight on SGL's thoughts on economical pitch management and how we believe that tools are out there for everyone. Tom.
Thank you. Like Frank said, yeah, we'll just touch on the economical pitch management side of things and a few pointers in the right direction, hopefully. So just a few bullet points that we'll cover in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Investment costs, the products and options that are available, running costs, maintenance, and the return on the investment of the equipment. So first of all, investment. I think people's thoughts on not only pitch lighting but other turf care products as well is always the big thing of big expensive units and lots of money. So I think it's key to start off with to analyse the requirements that for yourself and your stadium or your golf course. So not everywhere needs full pitch system of 9 lights. An MU50 or a smaller unit may be achievable. So that's a key thing. Always we'll sit down with you guys and work out exactly what you need, whether it be large or small or quantity of units. Different purchase or rental options hire purchase. So everything doesn't always have to be purchased outright, whether it's a short-term rental we'll touch on later on or a hire purchase over 5-6 years. So there's options for everyone and everyone's budgets and finances. New or used equipment, happy to show you both. So there's a continuous rollover of new equipment going out and in turn older units coming back. So it doesn't always have to be brand new out of the showroom. It can be pre-loved units and things like that. Small areas can also make a big impact. So whether it starts with an MU50 in a goalmouth or saving 2 goalmouths, and you can soon realise what can be done with smaller units. And those impressions often knock on and become 2 units or 3 units or more. And also it can be beneficial to other departments, so sports science, stadium management, facilities, things like that. So there's a few bits we'll touch on.
If I can quickly touch on that, Tom. I remember when years ago when Nico started SGL, I joined quite quickly, and I remember we always thought it's the top of the European teams and the top 10 of the Premier League who can afford it. But what we see now for the last 10-15 years already is that you see that there's a solution for almost every stadium, and when it comes to problems with light and air circulation, problems in smaller stadiums are not that big as in a Wembley, for example. So it's nice to see that the actual solution often matches the budget. So, like you said, there is often a misconception that it's unaffordable for the lower leagues.
Definitely. So products and options, there's what we like to think a few different options, whether touch on a few of these units. So the BU line, the select units, and the UK rental pool. So we'll move on to SGL Select. So some of you may know, some of you may not. I think Danny and Ollie are both users of SGL Select units. So SGL Select is a process where new clubs will buy new units, and in turn we'll trade in their older units. So these units will be returned to us refurbished, fully tested, fully working. So they'll come out at obviously a lower price than what new equipment would. This could be equipment that's a year old or 10 years old. So there's a vast range of differences there. There's always a wide selection of units, whether it be from large MU360 units or even LU440 units now, down to a BU50 or an MU50, an MU18. So the range and spectrum of units and equipment that are available, whether it be UVC machines or TC50s, is always there. And obviously with a full warranty. So there's no worry of buying older select units, used equipment that maybe past its sell by date. These units come out with warranties and guaranteed to work as they should do. The UK rental pool is new to us this week, or even yesterday it was announced. So we've been being asked for the last 2-3 years of can we have something short term, delivered quickly and for a set price. So we've been putting some numbers together and some options, and we now have the UK rental pool. So it's short rental periods, whether that be a month or 2 months, 3 months, extending to a whole season. There's a wide range of products from a BU50, like you can see on the screen, up to an MU50, an LU120, a TC50, or even MU360s, LU440s. So there's something for everyone and for every budget and club along the way. Flexible payment terms, whether that be, like we say, a 1 month rental or it's a whole season's rental. So we're happy to work around your guys' needs. And I think probably one of the biggest things, especially when we get into the depths of winter, is being able to get that to you quickly. When you have a problem, we want to be able to try and solve that and help you out as soon as possible. So units located in and around the UK that we can get to you within days and weeks, and hopefully solve your issues.
Maybe a good thing to mention, because we've got people from all over the world joining us today, and also within our customer base, of course. Why UK rental pool? That's because with the flexibility, the short rental periods, the competitive pricing, that's something we can only do in a big and active market like UK, where we have a big customer base and that we can move it on to. Obviously, if this proves to be successful and it's what customers are looking for, then we would be looking to expand this outside the UK. But for now, only the UK market allows us to do this at these terms.
And this brings us on to the BU line. So I think over the last, it's been brewing for a little while inside SGL, but was first released BU50 back at Soltex 10 months ago. So it's a total remake of the way we construct the units, allowing us some different capabilities. So start of all, the smallest unit, the BU10, which we've just seen in the social media update. It's slowly making its way around the country and making good impressions so far. So it's a unit of 10 square meters coverage, which consists of 2 1,000 watt armatures. Height adjustable legs. So designed, we've been asked for a long time of a unit that's perfect to go over a corner flag or in a goal mouth. So the adjustable legs allows us with surfaces that are of unevenness around a corner flag maybe to extend and sit in any situation. Also adjustable for light intensity as well. So if you want the more intense light, we can drop the legs, and if you want a wider light spread, we can adjust that. A big pull-in point is a 230 volt power supply. So your normal household power, we're able to power these 2 armatures off, whether that be off a 13 amp 3-pin plug or a 16 amp 230 volt supply as well. So hopefully accessible to most stadiums, clubs, private houses, golf courses, whether that be on a generator or from normal power sockets, and quick and easy deployment. So the unit weighs in at 32 kilos, so small enough for 2 guys to bring out the back of a gator or the back of a truck and put out. So it's proven to be really good, accessible, and I'm sure many more will be flying out the doors in the coming weeks and months going into winter. And then we move on to the BU50, the first of the BU line that was released at Soltex last year. So 50 square meters coverage, consisting of 7 1,000 watt armatures, same armatures that are in the BU10s. So lightweight unit, again, an aluminium construction, new kind of construction for us in the way that it's made. And it aids, coming in at a relatively low weight, aids good maneuverability and usage, whether that be on a golf green for low weight pressure, or for one guy towing around a stadium or a training ground. So a really handy unit. 16 amp power supply, 3-phase. So the lowest of requirements in that sector. So again, hopefully accessible to the majority in stadiums and venues. And then I think probably the biggest USP for us, I think, and what we've worked really hard to try and do, is the way that the unit is delivered and installed. So it's delivered on 1 Euro pallet. So the whole unit is built in a new way for us, which has enabled us to reduce shipping costs across the country, across Europe, across the world, and can be delivered by pallet couriers and not the usual Arctic lorries that we arrive in. So it's also a DIY build yourself construction IKEA kind of kit. So
Easier.
so far, even easier than IKEA. So capable of you guys building it yourself on site within 2 to 3 hours with a couple of guys. So it's proven really good so far, and I think it's a real strong addition to our armory. Cost examples, again, we touched on it at the start. It's always a big question when it comes to grow lighting, for sure. Too expensive for us, how can we afford that? Running costs, purchase and things like that. So we've just done a bit of a breakdown based on a BU50 and a treatment of 200 square meters, so 2 goal mounts we're aiming for. So just help you numbers. So the investment of a BU50 in the UK is £9,500. So we've then built into this the depreciation, the running costs, the maintenance, everything, just to try and make it a bit clearer. So estimated yearly running costs of £1,928, so just under £2,000. This is taking into account the yearly depreciation of the product, the maintenance and consumables, so making sure that it's running at its peak for the full year round, no downtime, and always able, ready to use. And then also running costs as well. So it's based, as you can see at the bottom, on 1,000 hours a year, 10 pence per kilowatt consumption. So with these calculations taken into account, the total cost of ownership and the running costs, I think that's what's key to get it in. It's everything in the full package. Comes in at £1.93, so less than £2 an hour to both own it and run it over that length of period. So I think once these things are broken down into these bite-sized chunks, it really helps people realise how affordable and how accessible it is for not just the top-level people, but everywhere down to step 6, 7 and below and things like that. So I think it's a real eye-opener for us as well when things are broken down like this, and makes it a lot more accessible.
I think this is a good thing, just under £2 or €2 to have your goal mouse in a good condition. That's great. Tom, if I can ask you a question, and also that's something I forgot to mention in the beginning to everyone who's joining us today. If you have a question, feel free to ask it on the Q&A on the bottom of your screen. You can push that button and ask us a question, and we'll answer your question live or afterwards, or use the chat, or you can also push the button, raise your hand, and then ask the question as well. So feel free to ask any questions to Tom or anyone else, obviously. But Tom, can I ask you, and obviously I know the answer, but I think a lot of people will ask or think, well, why are you introducing a low budget economical line like the BU and not have LEDs installed and have HPS installed, because LEDs are usually associated with low cost?
Yeah, no, I think it's a brilliant point, and I think we can clear it up, and we'll certainly touch on LED in the next episode of SGL Live. But certainly in this part of the world, with the LED, in terms of certain periods of the year without the heat, and then with that LED armature, you have the lack of heat, or the not so existent heat compared to the HPS, which is seen as a waste product, but extremely beneficial for us guys, at least in Northern Europe. So there's always that perception of cheap costs and low energy costs with LED, but the investment costs of the unit itself and the technology, and then the addition of additional heat as well, soon balances itself out. So comes with that a higher investment cost and parallel running costs maybe for us guys, certainly in this region in the UK.
Yeah, and I think also if you look at the target group, the smaller stadiums, training grounds, when they need the light in the middle of winter, they also need the heat, like you say. So that's one of the reasons why we made that decision. Great.
Maintenance, we've touched on it a few times. I think it's paramount. It's key to anything, whether it's your mower, other machinery, sprayers, lights. It's key to have this equipment running at its most efficient and top quality all year round. So there's a number of different maintenance packages we offer, from parts coverage to yearly service, and these costs can also be consumed in the rental cost as well. So it's not a big surprise to people, but no, it's key to keep all those bulbs running, all those bulbs clean and reflectors clean, to get the most out of your unit. It's a big investment, whatever level you're at, whether you're at the top or lower down the pyramid. it's key to have that equipment that you've invested a lot of money in good shape, because it's there to be used, and you need it in good quality. So it's, we stress it probably more than ever. But yeah, keep that equipment in good use. Avoid the high breakdown costs or failures with equipment. And yeah, we believe strongly in that. I think keeping that running as efficient as possible is paramount to success. Last of all, a bit of a return on investment. So it may be seen as money just going in, buying grow lights, paying for the units, paying for the electricity, but there's a lot that comes back from it. So a better playing surface all year round, hopefully, which then comes across with like we said earlier, sports science. And if you've got a safer playing surface, it's a better playing surface for the team, and hopefully eradicating those injuries, slips and trips. And also, if we can look after a goalmouth for a couple of goalmouths for that £2 an hour, it hopefully has that knock-on effect of maybe not having to returf that goalmouth each year. So the investment is put back into something materialistic that you can keep for the next season as well. In terms of that light. So there's a footfall and a number of benefits that come with that investment. It's not just money going out.
Yeah, and I think that's key to also look at that. It's good to also look at what you get in return for the money you spend for the cost and maybe sometimes that even outweighs what you are spending. So that's, I think, what we try to stress is that creativity in this way is key. I think Danny and Ollie will agree with that and explain that later as well. That yeah, with economical pitch management, creativity is really important. Thank you, Tom. That's excellent. Thanks for that. Yeah, again, like I said, with Ollie and Danny, we will discuss later how they deal with their budgets and their resources in their daily work, also from their past experience. So that's, I think, a good thing to discuss. But before we do that, Mr. Huffman, we go to a this or that. And we're going to start with you. You are the lucky one. So let's get going. So Danny, this is
Yes.
very simple. You've probably done this before. I'm just going to ask you a few this or that questions. I don't need any explanation, no waiting or whatever, just a quick answer, and you might get the chance to explain one or two later on, but not while we are at it. So are you ready?
As I'm ever going to be.
Well, you'll be fine, I think. Here we go. Snow or heat wave, Danny?
Heat.
Okay, good. That was clear. Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Very good. Rugby or football? You have both.
Football.
Football. Oh, you're very clear. Pedestrian or ride-on? We have the criminals back again.
Pedestrian.
Pedestrian. Okay, excellent. Diseases, and that's for your grass, not for you personally, or weeds?
Weeds, probably.
Weeds, you like them? Yeah. Visit from Simon or a pitchfork in your foot, Danny?
Definitely a pitchfork.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Good that he's
That's a little harsh, I think.
Yeah. That's why we created the social distancing. But
if I step out of this now and go and get the pitchfork, is that okay?
Yeah, we can try that, Simon. Yeah, we can try that. Thanks for that, Danny. That was very clear, and you were very clear about your choices. So I think this was the last visit of Simon to the SGL Stadium, or indeed he will bring his pitchfork next time. That's also an option. Good.
I definitely will.
Then let's go into this discussion. We've had some of our views from Tom. I'd be interested to see Ollie, for example. You're now in Leuven. To start off, I think we need to be aware that economical pitch management is different for everyone, because everyone's situation is different, and what some might think is a low budget is a huge budget to someone else. But it's good to have your views. You've been you are at Leuven now, Ollie, for about 2 years.
Yeah, just over 2 years now. Yeah.
At Rochdale and Scunthorpe before, right?
Rochdale and Scunthorpe before, yeah.
So
yeah.
It'd be interesting to hear your views, Ollie and Denny, on how you do things.
Nice, good, yeah.
Ollie, I'd like to ask you, I believe your league has started again. So your league has restarted.
Yeah, so we started two weeks ago. So we're on to the third weekend this weekend, which obviously I think it's been more of a challenge this year with obviously the circumstances that we've had the last 3-4 months. But I know a lot of people haven't been able to work, but we've been lucky that we can continue basically doing the bare minimum we can, and obviously at a social distance.
Did you manage to get a renovation in? Did you do that?
Yeah, so we got the go ahead at the start of the lockdown in March to do all the training ground, which was lucky because it's just a local company around the corner that do it. So I think if we had an English company or from another country, I think we'd have struggled. And then about a month into that, we managed to do a small renovation at the stadium, because the plan was to reconstruct it, but because of the corona, and we've had to clean the Playmaster carpet out for the 4th year. It's going into its 4th year now. Clean it out the best we can, but underneath it's just what's been there for 40, 50 years. So there's no drainage, or basically it's just clay underneath it. And some areas are like we've had to top up with fibre sand. It's just a jigsaw puzzle because of it's basically. But we did the best we could to it, and it's holding up okay at the minute.
And you, Danny,
that situation's not uncommon.
Go on, Simon. You go.
There you go.
Danny, as well, I think you're in a bit of a different circumstances with dual use and 2 seasons. So where did you get to renovation-wise, or did you get anything in at all?
So what we had planned to have the whole of July, we'd booked fixtures, made teams not have fixtures and any events, not taking any events on for the whole of July. But as soon as the corona and the lockdown occurred, everything was rejigged, and that option was taken away from us. So we've done very little, unfortunately, this year. We've seeded and I've put a plan in place, yet to be accepted, to do some ongoing top dressing and what have you. But as any sort of major renovation works, we haven't done anything. Which is a bit disappointing, really, because this is now 6 years since it's been turned over, and obviously each year you don't do a major renovation. It gets a little bit trickier. So, but we've got through in the past, and I'm sure we'll get through again. So
we will again. Yeah. Good, Denny. Obviously, with you, in your situation, you have multiple challenges. Obviously, it's limited resources, but also the schedule, as you and Tom already touched on. Can you? I don't know. I don't think everyone knows. Can you explain a little bit what you have going on at the stadium?
So, right, we have 2 rugby teams. There's 2 different codes of rugby. One is predominantly a winter sport, which generally starts back end of September, runs through to May, in a normal year, normal season, that is. And then one is supposedly a summer sport, which starts back end of January, runs to October. So we have quite big overlapping times, which can be tricky. But that's the nature of the beast there. That's what the stadium does. So we just get on with it the best we possibly can. So it's not ideal. Would I change it if I could? Would I align the seasons if I could? Yes, I would. And I would have more chance of renovation, but that's not the way it is. So
that's your biggest challenge, having the renovation.
I think our biggest challenge is not having a renovation. Yeah, there always seems to be an event or something whenever we have little gaps, because stadiums have to earn their money, don't they? So whenever there's gaps in fixtures or what have you, we tend to somehow find events to slot in between them, which is good in a lot of ways, because it keeps bringing revenue into the stadium, keeps people in jobs and so on and so forth. But purely from a groundsman's point of view, it can get very tricky to try and get any sort of work done, even just simple maintenance work. If there's filming for an advert or whatever, they'll come and want to set up a couple of days before, and so they'll take the days off you. So it can be a bit of a pain, but you always find a way around it.
Yeah. I think that's a key thing, finding ways around it.
Do you think it will take more events, Danny? Do you think you could get more? Because I think all stadiums are going to take more. Yes.
Not that we know.
It possibly could take more. We haven't had a concert this year. I know a lot of places get concerts. We haven't had a concert this year. There is some talk of a concert next year. There's some talk of there's some community stuff going on with the Rugby League World Cup that's been spoken about. We've had a couple of meetings about. So we will always get more and more events. There's also talk in the background that we may well end up getting some more football events, and on a more regular basis, like taking one of the local teams, either their permanent base here or one of their academies or the ladies teams. So there's always something that's bubbling in the background that we can or that we will put in. So yeah.
And with your running season to season, Danny, how does it work setting out your budgets with at least a football or a single-use team? We know a start of a year and an end of a season, start of season, end of season, where budgets normally run to. Yours is a roll-in year by year.
Yeah. So what we tend to do, I have a fixed budget, which isn't a bad budget, but obviously, yes, I would like some more. But I think we all would. We have to constantly be monitoring the pitch and looking to see where we are, and then having the experience of knowing how quickly the pitch can deteriorate when you hit those dual use months of January, February, March, April. You have to sort of gauge yourself and be wary that you have got stuff in the bank or you have done work to get you through those times. So, a lot of our budget and a lot of our resources is taken up trying to get through those difficult months in the winter, especially when we're dual use.
How does that work for you, Ollie? What would you see as your biggest challenge? Because obviously it's a completely different situation. Some people might not know, but you have the same owner as Leicester City, so it's a lot of the Leicester City team involvement. You're obviously related to Leicester City as well. So some people in Belgium might think, well, there's not a budget problem or there's no limited resources. But I visited you a few times in the training ground and also in the stadium, and I know the challenges. But I think it's a different story. How does that work for you? What's your biggest challenge when it comes to resources and everything?
Yeah, I think our biggest challenge is the actual pitch at the stadium, because there hasn't, we've had the investment at the training ground since obviously King Power came in, but we've just not had that opportunity at the moment to invest in the stadium pitch. So like Danny said, going into January, February, I know it's not the same as rugby, but we have, we've got the Belgium under-21s play here and the Red Flames, the Belgian women's international team. So obviously along with that comes training sessions as well. And when you're in them, in January, February, in the winter months, it's challenging because, like I said, we don't have the drainage, but we're lucky we've got the dome cover.
And how do you don't have there's no budget to obviously have a pitch full of lights or have all the equipment you want. How do you handle that? You got a few lights, right?
Yeah, we've got 2 MU50s and 2 LU120s.
Yeah.
Obviously, it'd be ideal. I think, cause I don't think we need a full set because it's not a huge stadium. There's plenty of air and light get into it. But I think 2 or 3 more, maybe LU120s, it'd be wonderful to have it, and it just help with that shaded side. And
we'll write that order down, Ollie. That's fine.
No, hopefully John's listening.
And there's no restrictions for you on how many hours you can use them?
No, we don't have any restrictions. Maybe if we got more, then we might have to look at that. But up until now, touch wood, we don't have any restrictions now.
And how was your? I think we've mentioned previously, but you guys were promoted in the end due to circumstances, obviously. But how was your budgeting for? Were you ready to stay in the division you were in last season as such, and now you're up into the first division? Has that changed much?
I think with us, because obviously with the link with King Power, I think the standards stay the same with the pitch wise. So I think our budget, I don't think would have changed dramatically if we knew we was going in the top division or we stay in the second division. Because I think they've seen the standards, at Leicester, and they just whatever club they own, I think they'd expect the same. Worldwide, wherever it would be. So I don't think it affects us massively, the league we're in. But obviously, then with the COVID and Corona, I think a few things. Yeah. We had to cut back on a couple of things, but other than that, I think the standards try and remain the same.
Yeah. Okay, good. Denny, maybe something for after the short this or that break with Ollie, but you have had some restrictions on hours of usage, right?
Yes, our first year we didn't. Once we got the 360s, first year we didn't have any restrictions. Then I had to cut the budget by a third, which made life tricky, obviously, and frustrating to some extent. But you just have to try and be a little bit smarter about how you use them.
Okay, good.
We just went for the lowest tariffs through the nights and that sort of thing. It's pretty much common sense, most of it. But obviously, it just changes how you have to deal with things and your maintenance and stuff slightly. So, but there's like we said before, there's ways around things. So you find a way to make it work.
Yeah, excellent. Well, that's might be nice to touch on later. There was also a question from one of the viewers about the energy rates and the tariffs and how you guys look at that. But first, it's time for your this or that, Ollie.
Perfect.
Yeah. Good.
Would you like a visit from Frank?
Sorry.
Or a pitchfork? A visit from Frank or a pitchfork through your finger?
Well, I'm not going to ask that question because I know what Ollie will choose. Right, Ollie?
Visit from you for sure.
Yeah, of course.
Oh dear.
Well, it's going to be very easy. We don't want any explanation or details. So, are you ready, Ollie?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, good. Then let's get going. Data or gut feeling?
Sorry, I missed that one.
Data or gut feeling? Do you still see the screen or not?
No, I'm just on the Windows page.
Oh, really? Okay, then we need to change that.
Oh, dear.
Here we go. That's better. Data or gut feeling? Ollie?
Gut feeling for now.
Okay, here we go. Next one. Belgian chocolate or Belgian beer?
Belgian beer.
Easy. Okay. Stadium or training ground?
Training ground.
Training ground, interesting. Heavy rain or heavy wind?
Heavy wind.
Heavy wind, good. Belgian fries or Five Guys?
Belgian fries.
Belgian fries, excellent choice. And then -10 or +20?
+20.
+20, yeah. And then finally, an interesting one. Chairman for a week or player for a week?
Player for the week.
Player for the week. Interesting choice. Thanks, Ollie. That's great. We might touch on the player for a week later. Maybe we can see your skills in the next edition, but something for later.
Not many.
Yeah. So to continue with the discussion on economical pitch management, Danny, you already addressed it, the rates, and there's a question coming as well from the audience. Do you guys, when using the lights, heavily look at the rates, the tariffs, day and night? Does it make a big difference for you or not? How's that for you, Danny?
I do, yes. We have ours worked out, so I know what it costs to have all our lights on, how much it costs an hour. So then it's easy for me to work out how many hours I can have them on, and therefore it just makes life a lot easier for me. And my boss stays happier when I stay within the budget. So that's it's just something you have to manage. We do all right at it, yeah.
Yes, Ollie?
We've looked at them briefly, but obviously because we don't have the restrictions up to now,
yeah,
it's not, it's still important to know what we're spending. But yeah, I wouldn't say probably as much detail as what Danny goes in, because obviously he needs to with the restrictions, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And moving.
Have you had any staffing level restrictions, Ollie?
Sorry, what was that?
Have you had any staffing level restrictions during the COVID periods? Has it changed?
No, again, we've not had anyone put on furlough or anything, but it was a case of when you're working, you do have to obviously be the social distance apart, and so that made it tricky with putting machinery on tractors, or because there was, like, at the training ground, there's police driving around all the time, so they were really checking what you was doing. Right. So not regarding people not working, no, but obviously on an actual work level, restrictions on what you can do regarding machinery and things. Yeah, so yeah.
Okay.
You look at the resources, Ollie, in comparison what you have now in Leuven and in comparison to Rochdale and Scunthorpe. Is that a big difference, or?
Yeah, for me it's massive, because all I've ever known is like places like Rochdale and Scunthorpe, where I wouldn't say scrimping and scraping, but you're really careful or you're trying to think of ways yourself to do something differently rather than going spending. How can we do it ourselves? Or so yeah, it's different over here, sure, but definitely with at Rochdale and Scunthorpe, you did have to be imaginative, and like at Rochdale when I got the lights from the police and tried to make your own rig, and it was just things like that to try and.
You were a competitor back then.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far. But no, I think, I'm sure Danny's the same. You're trying to think of different ways to, to do things rather than having to go and spend money so, but yeah, no, it's good.
And are there maybe you're in a bit of a different situation compared to some of the other, because the link with the King Power and things, but are budgets across the leagues similar?
I wouldn't really know, to be honest. But looking at, I think the league, obviously, we was in last year, they would have been a lot lower than what we've got. Just because the clubs in there, they're all run with volunteers, and like OHL was the same before King Power came in. It was a lot of volunteers doing the work, and you'd get a couple of retired guys just coming in and cutting the pitches. But I think now we're in the top division. I think I'm sure the top 4 or 5 clubs will be similar to us. But yeah, I'm not, because I don't, I've not really spoke to many. I know a couple, regarding budgets.
Yeah, if I don't know budget, but if I can speak from my own experience in countries like also Belgium, Netherlands, France, I see bigger differences because it's not that heavily relying on TV money. TV money is not that big. So yeah, you see the top few teams, they have a reasonable budget, but in the lower teams, like Ollie says, sometimes they have to rely on volunteers or part-time workers. So yeah, that's completely different world sometimes. But you also do this voluntarily, Danny, right? Or not?
Yeah. Yeah. If you'd worked on my hourly rate, it's probably right. Yeah.
Okay. Do you see a lot of challenges coming ahead now, Danny, with COVID and your resources and the income to the stadium?
I'd like to think we'd get over it quite quickly, but obviously what impacts the teams will run down the line and impact everyone. So with there not being fans in, the revenue streams that aren't coming into the clubs, so therefore budgets will get tighter. So we will inevitably be looking to do other things, I think, to try and pick up the shortfalls. Yeah. So I expect to come out of this with more work than less work.
Yeah.
Or more events.
Yeah. Just to generate income. And, yeah. Good. All right. Very good. Ollie, when looking at your, we just touched on you renting TZ50s for a short term. I think your lights were on lease as well, or they've had, I can't remember. Is there a policy from within the club to go for short-term commitments only, or is it the other way around? Long-term commitments, lower costs.
I think it varies for what it is that we actually want. I know the lights we got last year on the hire purchase deal for the training ground, I think that was a good option because obviously at the start you're not paying out, the outlay is not so big, but then obviously at the end you've got a smaller fee to pay to own the rigs. So I think it just depends, the options with the full purchase or a hire purchase. There's not really a set guideline within the club.
Yeah, okay. So how does that work for you, Danny? Is there a set guideline on hire purchase or rental?
What we did was just worked my. We got prices for almost everything, didn't we? Yeah. And I gave it to our accounts department, and they decided that what they wanted to do was the 6-year rental purchase. So they were more than happy with that. Yeah. I let them choose, sort of thing. Yeah. The getting the lights had been agreed, so we then just went. I went with whatever the accounts department said. Yeah.
Okay, good. Gents, before we already see Danny moving. That's because of his next show. He's going to do the pitch visit today. It's the first time that one of our panelists also does the pitch visit. So that's a real honor, Danny. Oh, there he is. But first, before we get on to that, I have one question for you coming from one of the viewers. And that's a nice one. Short and sweet answer, please. If you had a higher budget, what would you change? One thing, what would you change with a higher budget?
Stadium construction for me.
Sorry?
The stadium pitch.
Pitch construction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably be similar, or I would be able to sort of force the renovation time, so we didn't have to take so many events, so we could actually have a renovation time. So yeah, that'll be me, I think.
Or buy one of the teams and let them play somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, good, gentlemen. Thanks for that. as always, we didn't have enough time to discuss everything in detail, but it's been very useful. I think you are both more than welcome to further questions. If people have any questions, they can send them to us, and I think you'd be happy to share your experiences with them. Am I right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Thanks. Well, then we'll now move on to our live pitch visit. So there we are. Denny, you've been telling us a bit already about how you work at the stadium, what sort of events and activities you have. Be aware, Simon is right behind you filming you. Don't know whether he's holding a pitchfork.
Yeah, I've got the pitchfork in my hand.
Oh, there, he's holding a pitchfork, so that can be interesting. It's nice for YouTube though.
Yeah.
Don't be too hard on him, Simon. I think you can understand his choice. Denny, can you tell us a bit more about your pitch and construction and whatever?
Yep. So our pitch was, it's been down 9 years. It's what originally it was a fibre lock pitch, which is ever so slightly different to a fibre sand pitch, only with the fibres having a kink in them. There were some major issues right at the very beginning because the fibre wasn't mixed in through the profile properly. So we ended up topping the surface up with a few 100 ton of sand just to almost to bury the fibre, so we could try and get a stable sort of surface. We have a full irrigation system. It does remarkably well, to be fair, for the amount of use we have. I'm very pleased with the pitch and how it performs in a lot of ways. Yes, I would change some stuff. I would like to do some things. Obviously, the renovation being one of them. But it's a great little stadium. It's very breezy here, good air movement. So yeah, the stadium's good. So yeah, that's where we are stadium-wise. We have a couple of pitches outside that the Reds train on constantly. There's people using them all the time. They're very, very well used. One of them is a 3G pitch, and the other one is a natural grass pitch, natural soils pitch, with some drainage in. So that's the site, and yeah, we do all right. I think we're one of the better rugby league stadiums, and that's no detriment to the other stadiums, but there's not a great deal of money in rugby league, so we are one of the better rugby league stadiums. Rugby union, there is quite a bit of money in, so we're sort of comparable with quite a lot of the other rugby union stadiums.
And in terms of machinery?
Yeah, we're quite lucky with machinery. When we first started, I was given a reasonable budget, and I knew that we were going to go dual use. So what we did was we tried to set ourselves up to be as self-sufficient as possible. Obviously, cutting machinery-wise, but things like verti-drains, pro-cores, other bits and pieces of kit, then brushes and rakes and so on. We tried to be as self-sufficient and Seed as self-sufficient as we possibly could, because having worked at dual use before, I knew that it's sometimes difficult to pin contractors down to yes, when you have your availability.
Yeah. We get a question coming in, Danny. Do they train on the pitch, and how often, if they do?
Yeah. What do you? Right. Yes, they've trained this morning.
Yeah.
From about 8:45 to about 11. A full squad training, which will be 40, I think it's 43 players. I'll take you over to an area where they've obviously decided that somebody needed to do some shuttle running or up and downs. Thankfully, this time they've actually done it off pitch, but quite often this sort of stuff happens on the surface, on the actual playing surface. So as you can see, on my screen, there's the touchline, and this is an area where they've been doing up and downs this morning. So we shall be repairing this as best we possibly can.
Ready for the next one.
Yeah, ready for him to do it all over again tomorrow after the game. So yeah, there's a lot of training goes on, and so much so that we've had to take frost sheets off before they train and stuff. So they want to train on the pitch the day before a game. It's like a ritual that you can't really break.
Yeah, I think that sounds familiar to a lot of groundsmen in the industry. They're well-known ritual.
Yeah.
Good. That's excellent. Very interesting. Also good to see it right after a training session. So that's lovely. Thanks for that. Be careful because Simon is now approaching. On your left, Danny? Yes, there he is. Okay, good. Excellent.
I look thin, don't I?
That was very good. Thanks for that. And it's good to see after some hiccups with technology last time in the third session at Villarreal. It's nice that we now have 2 full working views of your lovely pitch, and that's great. All the best with that. Thanks. And thank you, Simon, for walking around the pitch.
Follow it.
Put that pitchfork down, please. Okay, good. Then we have already come to the end of today's session. Hello, Simon. We'll just do a quick summary before we close off. And I think what we've learned today when it comes to economical pitch management and resource restrictions, that being creative is key. I think both Danny and Ollie touched on that with whatever you got and whatever they throw at you, you need to be creative and make sure you get the very most out of it. I think that's something that we all recognize, but it's good to take into account. As we could see from, I think in real life at both Danny and Ollie's place, a small investment can make a big difference. What Tom also mentioned, even 1 or 2 BU50s or 1 or 2 of these small select rigs that Ollie has at his training ground already make a huge difference. So that's something to keep in mind. I think the most important thing we have learned from today, but it's not at all surprising either, especially not for those who know Simon, is that Danny actually prefers a pitchfork in his foot over a visit from Simon. So that's very interesting to learn. Second-hand equipment, a good solution both at AJ Bell Stadium and OHL. They've been using select equipment with full warranty and fully refurbished, doing the job, but at a much lower cost. And I think also both gentlemen touched on the fact that they need careful planning around things like events and the climate they come across to. We've seen, Danny with his heavy schedule, Ollie heavy schedule with all the teams playing there, but also the weather, of course, renting the TC50s to save the pitch. So that's very interesting to learn. Not as interesting as Danny's pitchfork, but Ollie prefers wind over heavy rain. That's good to learn. And finally, one of the most interesting things from Tom's presentation on the BU50 is that treating your goal mouse with just 1 BU50 can be done for as less as £2 or €2 an hour. So I think that shows that it's not only for those with the huge budgets and the big stadiums, but it's technology that can be accessible to everyone. So good. So I think it was a very interesting session again. I think before we finalize things, we've had one last question coming in. Ollie, that's for you. In relation to the pitch and the problems you have with drainage and the pitch construction, if you had a real downpour, how would you drain the pitch as you got no drainage?
Yeah, well, that's something that, well, me and the other lads here, we always talk about, saying how lucky we've been in well, certainly in the 2 years I've been.
Knock on wood, Ollie.
Hey?
Knock on wood.
On like a match day, if we get a heavy downpour during a game, then there's nothing, that they wouldn't finish the game. It's as simple as that.
That's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we lose. Like we have the calendar in the office, and you just see how many days we lose because of rain and the pitch not draining.
Yeah.
If you get 2-3 hours of rain in a day, you won't do anything on it for 2 or 3 days. It really is that. That bad. So it's just lucky we have the cover, which is a massive saviour for us to get us through the season.
You told me on the phone last week you've actually, and obviously that's not what they're there for, but you've actually used the TC50s as well to dry the pitch a little?
Yeah, so the first day we had them, it was like 37 degrees, but then in the afternoon there was a thunderstorm for 2 hours, so just the whole pitch was underwater.
Yeah.
So we turned the mist off the fans and pointed the angle further down onto the pitch and used the air to dry it out. We come back 2 or 3 hours later, and honestly, it was unbelievable. The results that we've seen.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's not initially what they're there for, but it's handy benefit.
They've got their money's worth out of them anyway.
Good. All right. Okay. Excellent, gentlemen. I would like to thank you very much for your excellent support and your contributions, and to allow us a view on your daily work and literally a view onto your pitch. Danny, thank you very much.
No problem at all.
Thank you. Ollie, it was great.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for the invite as well. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And well, like I said, if there's any questions for you, we'll forward them. And Ollie, it might be nice to have you in again sometimes on the live pitch visit. Then we will.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Maybe if we're lucky during a downpour, and then we can see the
well is on.
Yeah. So thanks for that. Excellent. Tom, Simon, thank you very much. And then I would like to just invite you all the attendees, thank you, and invite you all for the next SGL Live, which will be in September and which will be announced soon.